You're tuned into Honestly Friends Pod with Day and Lee, where we talk about life, love, friendships, and the culture. What up, Lee?
Hey, Day, nothing much. How are you this wonderful Monday evening?
Good. We doing like a back-to-back. Y'all about to hear this in the same outfit 2 times in a row. But I'm good. Feeling a little
And
under
that's
the
fine
weather.
because y'all are definitely supporting us. So I thank y'all for doing that. We really appreciate that. Who knew? But yeah, we appreciate y'all. And I wanted to talk to you today about, girl, you be venting about me?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
1,000,000%. Yes.
That's funny. Because I did not tell you that I was going to ask you that. But
No.
okay.
You know I'm honest. Now, are you gonna ask me what? I'm probably not gonna tell you.
I don't want to know, baby. I'm one of those people I don't want to know. No.
I don't
want to know. That's fine. You are entitled to your privacy about how you feel about me. If it ever gets that bad, you can tell me, which you have in the past. So, like, I'm not worried about it. That's just so funny.
I mean, I've told you.
Me. That's funny. You have.
I have told you. Like, one of our events
told you
was the start. Yeah, one of my very first events,
or one of them,
was the first episode, right? Where I was just like, what I do? my friend said this about me. What do I do?
When I came to you about this episode, it was actually because you sent me one of those things, one of those random things on social media that both you and I sent to each other. It used to be more you, but maybe now I send you a bunch of stuff.
You be in there like somewhere thick on the social media.
You created a monster.
I have.
And so you actually sent me something about venting, and I was like, baby, I don't even need to read it. All I know is that we need to talk about this because friends vent.
Vent.
Like how I just asked you, and I definitely put you on the spot. And honestly, I was expecting the answer, but I was still shocked when you said it. I was like, oh, so you be venting about me? That's crazy.
What's the name of this podcast? Honestly,
I know, but I'm just like, you be venting about me? You be talking shit about me? That's crazy.
Okay, no. It don't be crazy.
I get it. Like, I'm not mad about it. Like,
it don't be crazy.
I'm not mad.
Because first there's love.
Of course, yes, it is love. Mm-hmm.
But I will say,
that's so funny.
I will say it is, and girl, I hope you have somebody to vent to about me because I know I'm not an easy person.
Say, I do vent about you, and I was like, I hope you don't feel a certain type of way about it. But I mean, it is always with love. But I do vent about you, and it's just like, so I can't. That's why I'm like, I can't be mad at you because I'm like, I be venting too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also told you about things that I had to vent about before I brought it to you. And I think that's a healthy way to maybe vent out loud, either to yourself or to another trusted person, another friend or whatnot, before you say it to the other person. Sometimes it happens in opposite, but that has been what it is for me with you and with other friends. So yeah,
I think it's so normal. I think it's so funny when people are like, oh, if you vent to other people or you talk to other people about like somebody else's business, like that makes you a bad friend. In my situation, it probably makes me one of the best friends because if I ever came to people, especially if it's something that's really frustrating me and really irritating me, if I ever came to any one of my friends with my very first thought, I would not be friends with y'all because the aggression that I might have, the way that I might not be able to actually put my words in the sweetest or the nicest or the calmest way.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's about venting out the frustrations. Other times it's actually about just like, I usually ask people like, am I tripping? Like, hold on, this is what happened and this is how I feel. And am I tripping? Like,
yeah, that's how it's been. Cause when I had vented to you, it's just like, now am I tripping?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you tell me the parts that I am and the parts that I am not. Like, okay, you are tripping in this, but you're not tripping about it. And I'm like, okay.
And I think it's healthy to vent, in my opinion. Like I said, like,
yeah,
if people came and attacked a conversation or a situation like with your very first thought without ever saying anything out loud, without ever thinking it all the way through, it could potentially ruin like friendships, because it's like you don't really gather your thoughts all together. Like I've noticed that with me. Sometimes my thoughts do not be cohesive, because even if I'm just venting to myself in my house, like talking out loud, sometimes I'm like, no, what the okay. Actually, no, like you tripping. Like once I hear the words come out, I'm like, oh yeah, no, actually you are tripping. Yeah. You are like, yeah, I think you're being a little too sensitive on that. It's probably not that deep.
And I brought this up because I thought it would be a good thing to talk about, so we can display what it means to vent in a healthy manner. Not that we're professionals at it, not that we're super good at it, but I do think we have a more insight on how it can be done without leaving your friend upset at you. You know what I'm saying? And because when you leave your friend upset at you, it's more a situation where it's like Mean Girls. You're being mean. And that is not okay. Like the mean girl type of venting that can happen. No, I'm not talking. That is not what I'm advocating for. But I just kind of want to give an example of like how in our friendship, first off, we meant to our friends that, yeah, we vent about each other. And we're super close, but we do vent about each other. And I was shocked, but I wasn't shocked. And are you shocked that I vent about you?
No. Let me tell you, I have been in a best friend trio. I had been in a best friend trio in the past.
Well, that's awesome that you're not shocked either. That's good.
And as a part of a best friend trio, like we all would talk to each other about each other. And it was never like, yes, sometimes it's bad, but it was never like bashing, I hate this person, like sort of thing. Like it was not Mean Girl stuff. It was like something happened. One of us is like super frustrated, and then you talk to the person that you're not mad at to like see like are you feeling me on this? Like, am I tripping? Like, what should I say? What should I do? And then you get to have that conversation with the other person, or maybe you don't, however the situation then played out, right? But what I do know is that I used to go to each of them and talk to them, like to one person about the other person, and vice versa. So knowing that, being a part of a best friend trio, because like you and I are like a duo, right? Like so we could sit there and assume like, oh, maybe you speak to somebody else about me if you feel like I'm tripping on something, but we don't have that any kind of confirmation on that really. But like with that former friendship that I had, I did have the confirmation. Like if they was coming to me and I was going to them, like who am I to think that they're not going to each other about me?
And like girl, that'd be me though. That'd be me.
You're like, what?
I be thinking like they're not going to each other about me. I don't know. I be in my own little world. That's why I had to ask you. So that's why I said I was shocked, but I wasn't shocked. There's a part of people like, y'all talk about me? Or like, you vent about me? Like, even though I know I vent about you or y'all. And so that's just a weird thing I have about myself. It's just like, but I gotta tell myself, cut it out. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I think a lot of people are like that. And here's my thing. I try not to be a hypocrite. If I do something, I expect it back. And so I try to be very careful about the things I do, because I will expect it back. Right. So it'd be one thing if I never like talked about anybody. Like I don't vent to you about anyone or anyone about you, and whatever. I have tons of friends or whatever. And then finding out that everyone's, or some people are venting about me, I'll be like, oh my gosh, right? But it's like, because I do it, I expect it. Like I don't think I'm exempt. Like I'm not exempt from the things that I put out there into the world. Like that's crazy to me.
You know what? I get it, and I feel that way too. I know I'm not exempt, but when you said you did, there was probably like, what? And I got over it because I know, like, it's like, girl, cut it out. I'm telling myself, at least cut it out. What are you doing? But I don't know. It's just a part of me that's like kind of oblivious. What what? Like, you be mad at me when I be mad at you, but I be mad at you though. How dare you be mad at me?
Well, maybe I'm not mad at, but maybe that's the thing. Maybe I'm not mad at you when you mad at me, and the times that like it could be something that I'm mad at you about, something you are completely oblivious about. right?
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like we may not be mad at the same time. And it depends on what's happening. Like sometimes we can tell when it's like a we bumping head situation. And other times it might be something that someone said like in passing that's hurt your feelings or made you feel some type of way or whatever the case may be. And it's gone. It's like said and gone and done. You know, let's say it's you said it and it's said and done and gone out your mind. And I'm sitting there sitting on it or vice versa or whatever. So yeah, no, I think that like I said, because I do things, I expect that other people do it. One thing about it though, I feel like in my mind, I set the standard for the world. Like I feel like if I'm thinking about things, everyone's thinking about things.
Now what is this you talking about right here?
Like it's like in my world, like in my bubble, I feel like if I'm thinking about things or I'm talking about something, everybody's doing it. And if I'm not, nobody's doing it. And it could be like cultural things. I'll sit there and be like, this one wouldn't be a great example because everybody be talking about her all the time because it's Beyonce. But like, if I feel like nobody's paying attention, like if I'm not paying attention to Beyonce, I feel like nobody's paying attention. It's like, girl, nah, all right. But like, whenever I think that I do a thing, I think other people do a thing too. Like,
okay.
So
you wasn't tripping about it. You mentioned something about, like you were in a friend group and y'all would vent to each other. I haven't vented in our friend group. I haven't vented in our friend group. But like, but that's a different dynamic, right? Like, did that cause problems in that example that you talked about?
It didn't. I think there's such an interesting thing when you're
okay.
Well, if it caused problems, I didn't know. I think it's an interesting thing when you're a part of a more intimate group and there's venting, because I think there was a safety that we felt with each other in venting, because it's like we would all know a certain thing. So let's give them names, right? Anna and Brittany and Dania, right?
Right.
So let's say I went to Anna about Brittany because we're a part of a friendship trio. There is, I know that Anna and Brittany loves dating, right? And so, and we all love each other. We're all friends. We all love each other. So if I was going to Anna about Brittany, of course, Anna would listen to what I have to say and, be like, oh man, okay, whatever, I get it. Or I have those same kind of concerns or whatever the case may be, or I think you're tripping. But ultimately it came back to, but Brittany's your friend, she didn't mean that. Like, you guys should just have a sit down and talk about it or whatever. And so it never felt gossipy too much to me, like where it was just like, oh, we just talking, it's Mean Girls and we just talking crazy about each other. It was like a vent session with people that know each other intimately. I don't have sisters, but in my mind, I think that's like if someone had like a couple sisters and, everybody has their thing where it's like, you don't like something about that person, but everybody loves each other. So it's like, all right, y'all gonna have to squash it. Like, just, I'm gonna let you vent, but go ahead and talk to Brittany because you and Brittany need to squash this situation. So to me, it never felt like a crazy pile-on or weirdness or anything like that. Like, we knew that the baseline was love, but we gave each other the space to vent, and only in a way that we knew the other person like intimately too. Because sometimes it's like, when you're really close with someone, like, like their ins and outs, like, their like weirdness and, XYZ, and you've learned to navigate it. So I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but it's like, because we knew those type of like more detailed, intimate things about each other, like we knew how to talk the other person off the ledge or come back around. Whereas, like, let's say if it was someone that knew us but was an outsider out of the trio, might not be able to really comprehend, like, well, this is how Dani is, and that's actually how Anna is, and this is how Brittany is, and this is how they know how to do things together. Because there were certain things that it's like, I feel like outside of the group, people wouldn't get it. Yeah.
And you made a good when you made it analogous to sisters, that makes sense. And I shouldn't be now I'm not as shocked that it's similar to like if it's just like, two friends or whatnot. Because sisters, when they fight, I have noticed it's like, okay, y'all are arguing, but at the end of the day, we need to remember that we love each other. So all of this gotta, like, it's not that deep. Like, I understand you have a vital point and she has a vital point, but it's not that deep and we're sisters. So all this, we're talking crazy to each other. It needs to be stopped or put at a minimum, because at the end of the day, we need to remember we can't talk to each other like that. We are sisters. So, I wanted to bring this up just to let people know that if they have vented about their friends, like, and they feel guilty about it, don't be too hard on yourself, because it's very normal. Like, it's very normal. But I don't think people talk about, like, it's okay to vent about your friends. Don't be dogging them out. But if you're venting, you're not a horrible friend because you're venting. And hopefully at some point a little bit later, you can gather your thoughts better because you vented and you know what they sound like, and make them prettier and present them to your friend.
And I would say I have such an interesting position now in my life. It's so funny. It's cute to me. I'd be like, oh, look at everybody coming to me. But like, as we know, as we've seen on this podcast, as I've demonstrated, I can kind of see things like on both ends. Like, some people are very extreme, like black and white.
To my chagrin. Y'all, let me just let y'all know, to my chagrin, that she's always doing that. And I'm like, can you please stop? I don't want to see the other side.
Right. Right. I'm like I'll see both sides and then try to make it into something type of person. So like nowadays in my life, like my friends will always come to me if they have like some type of struggle point with someone. Or let me not say always, but some of y'all come to me and will be like, hey, me and this person was talking and this happened, and what should I say? And I'll like give like okay, I would say this, I would say that, or even if it's just like this happened, whatever situation, I'll be like, okay, like I see why you're upset, but also I see this point too. And I think 9 times out of 10, like if it's just a vent session, I typically tend to help you guys, whomever, like whichever friend that's coming to me, see like your friend's perspective. And it's like, okay, you know what? I kind of am tripping, or I need to give a little bit more grace, or I didn't see it like that. Like I can give more time or more space or more energy or whatever it is that is needed in that situation. And then also like sometimes I literally give like you should say this to this person.
You do. You're very good at that. You ought to find a way to pivot into making that make you money, monetizing that, because you're so good at, you first of all, you be quiet and then you just listen to the people talk and you be like, you should do this. And and I'm like, oh, I should be like, because of this. So just do that and you'll be fine. And I'm like, you know what? I'd be wanting to take the advice. So it's really awesome. Kudos to you.
One of those things I'm like, it makes me feel so special. Like, and
but you have a lot of practice in it too. You have a lot of practice. So I think now it comes to you a lot easier.
Easy. Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, girl, this is very normal. This is what you do. And then don't stress yourself about it no more. And I'm like, I am going to do that. And it's like, yeah, the stress, people like, the stress goes away. The stress will go away. Trust me. If you do this, like, you're free to do what you want to do, but just do this. And then you won't be stressed about it no more. And it be working a lot of the times.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just got to give you your flowers about that. But yeah, and then if you think about it, like this has come up in pop culture lately. I don't know if you heard about it, but did you hear about Steve Harvey and his friend getting caught talking about him?
No, tell me.
Okay. So he works with this lady named Cheryl Strawberry, I believe. They're on a radio show for a long time. And she was caught talking to a partner of hers, like maybe a husband or a partner who's currently incarcerated. Very strange situation, but they were on the phone and she got caught because it was a recorded line talking about like Steve Harvey's wife and him. and it was in a disparaging way.
Oh no.
So people were going in on her like, she's trifling. She's talking about her friend and her friend's marriage and her friend's spouse, and he needs to fire her because he's her boss as well. And, kind of retaliate against her because how dare she speak about him and his wife in a disparaging way. Mm-hmm. And if you're honest with yourself and you listen to it, she said normal things that people normally say. They just weren't recorded. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, y'all are very holier than thou right now and just trying to, throw her away. And it's just like, it was hard to hear some of the stuff she said, because she said like Steve Harvey was afraid of his wife, and like they don't let anybody out the house because Steve doesn't, because he's afraid of her. Just things that weren't the nicest things about the wife, whether they're true or not, because they could be true and she has a valid point. Like, because we've seen that too, where it's just like someone gets with somebody and
they're isolated.
Now you just can't stand to be around them just because who they're connected to just drains all the fun out of every damn thing, right? So, okay, I get that. So she's just venting. That's a normal thing to vent about. Very normal. She just got caught. So she ended up making a public apology about it, which is awesome. But it's just like, but you can't unsay the things you said. And it's like, but I'm not really sorry for what I've said. I'm sorry. It was more of a situation. I'm sorry that you heard it. But I felt the way I feel. It's true though, right? Sometimes when you vent, it's like, it just wasn't meant for you. But some people be wanting you to say, but you need to be sorry for how I felt. And I'm like, no, I can't say that. I can't say that.
I know.
Like with our first episode, when you caught me and I said something disparaging about you, that was a situation where I was just sorry that I said it. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't sorry that I got caught. I was like, no, that was just effed up that I said that. And I in my heart of hearts, I didn't mean that. But there might be some things you hear about me and you be like, Elise, you said that? And I'm like, yeah. I'm sorry you heard it though, because you know me. I've told you this before. I've gotten in trouble a lot of times because I be sending the wrong text to other people. I've done that like on my hand, but that's a lot of times. And then people be like, you said that? And I'm like, I did. I'm sorry. That was not meant for you though. But I never said I'm sorry that I said it, because I'm like, I'm not going to lie now. I'm not going to lie and say I'm sorry I said it, because I meant it. So I'm sorry that your feelings are hurt.
That's a good, valid point. Yeah. Majority of the time that I do say something about someone, if I'm venting or, talking to someone about someone else, I will own it. Just like you surprise asked me, like, do you be talking about? I mean, I could have said, no, I never do that, which would have been a lie. Mm-hmm. But I would always own it.
Lying anyway. Right. That's why I said it. I was like, now you lying to me.
Right. Like, but I tend to own the things that I say. Like, aside from just thinking that people will be on the same type of, like, everybody talk about everybody, and to some degree, I also am the type of person that's like, if I said it, I said it. And if it was wrong,
if I said it, I said it.
If it was wrong at the time, or if it was more emotion based and it was baseless because it was emotion based and you called me out on it, I will say, you know what, that was not my place to talk about XYZ. I shouldn't have said it, and I'm sorry for how you feel. But there are some things that it's like, no, I actually did mean it, and I'm sorry that it hurts your feelings, but that doesn't mean that I don't mean what I said.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hurt you, but this is the truth, or this is my truth, or this is how I see the truth. And that's just what it is.
Exactly. Because, like, let's say you're venting about a friend that's just, I don't know, like, in the friend group, she's so self-centered. And other friends have said it, have been venting about that particular thing to each other. And the self-centered friend finds out. And she's like visibly upset. So you don't want your friend to be upset. So you say you're sorry. But then she may be like, oh, and you're sorry for like what you said, right? And it's like,
I'll be like, no, you
not
do
necessarily. You do the things that we're talking about. And it's only part of you, but it is a part of you. Mm-hmm. And we didn't tell you in the beginning because we didn't want to hurt your feelings. And maybe we're trying to figure out a way to tell you. But you can't be mad about things that we can evident that you do, because we got examples. It's not like we're bringing it out.
Like, it's not coming
and
from
that's just gonna have to be
nowhere.
that.
It's not coming from nowhere.
And that's
It's
what
not
you
like
want me to do. And if you do want me to do, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't want people to do that when it comes to me. Like I said, like I tell you all the time. I've said this multiple times on a podcast. I don't mind being wrong. Like, if I do a thing and I consistently do a thing that is abrasive, hurtful, selfish, whatever the case may be, I do want people to come to me and talk to me and say, "Hey, I've noticed this pattern, and you do this, and it leaves me feeling a certain type of way." And so that I can course correct. I don't mind course correcting. Like, if people, when people are important to me, I want them to have the very best version of me. So if you need to vent to someone so that you can then have a conversation, I think that is kind of my rule. If it's a throwaway situation, then throw it away, right? Like, let's not harbor any resentment towards each other or whatever. But if you cannot throw the situation away even after venting, then please do come to me and say, with love,
that's true,
hey, this happened and I feel this way about it. And I really don't know how to navigate this. And I'm not trying to upset you, but this has upset me in the past. Like, I still feel a certain type of way about it, X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. Because if you are important to me and you are, Lee, and like all my other friends that, y'all know who y'all are when y'all listening, like, y'all are important to me. I do not want to be the villain in your story. I don't need to be the hero either, but I don't want to be the villain in your story. Please come and talk to me and say, hey, like, you have said this, you've done this, whatever. And I will course correct. If that means that we don't have certain conversations on certain topics, then we won't do that. If that means that I don't do certain things when I'm around you, then I won't do that. Like, I will course correct so that it's comfortable for me and you. Because why? Because you're important to me. And I think that's the important part about venting. It's not just like, it's healthy to vent, but also if it's something super big, please do end up talking to the person that you're venting about. Do not let it breed into resentment, because I have been like that person that like I talk now, but I've in the past, like, I've been that person that would not talk because I didn't want to ruffle feathers and I didn't know how to navigate, like, if I say this and this person says that, and is that the end of the friendship? And like, now I recognize that it doesn't have to be the end of the friendship. So let's talk. And if it is the end of the friendship, maybe that's just the end of the road for us. And that's also sad, but understandable. But don't just vent and talk crap and let it fester and build. Like, please do end up talking to that person and say, hey, you did a thing, you was wilding out, it hurt my feelings, I didn't like it.
And you brought up something that is a good point to bring up, where you said sometimes it's just throwaways. Like, maybe I can say about you, like, and I can't because you're on time. Let me put it on me. Maybe you'll say about me sometimes, like, damn, at least you've been late lately. Because it's kind of true. Y'all. So it's like, we're very punctual, but if I'm late a couple times, that might it might just get on your nerves a little bit. And then, like, I think what I will do is I'll get back to being punctual, and then I'll pop up and be late again. And you're like, damn it, like, that's aggravating to you. If it's like that, that's a throwaway situation, unless I'm consistent with it. And it's just like, all right, now why you keep playing with my time? Stop it. You know what I'm saying? You vent to someone, she keep playing with my time, like she don't take this shit seriously. Like, what are we doing? Well, blah, blah, blah. So that's a good thing to consider. Like, also, when you are confronted and you're finding out that maybe your friend is venting to you and it alarms you, think about it in that sense too. Like, is this just a throwaway? Because I can't be mad at them if it's just a throwaway. Like, everybody's human and they have that. And then when it's not a throwaway, it's like, okay, but even that's okay too. But let's have a conversation about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't think people realize that it's okay. I think there's probably some shame in it. Like, I'm venting about my friends. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Because, like, you don't have to be ashamed. You're still a good friend if you vent about your friends sometimes.
Don't be a mean girl about it. Like, don't shut them out and start acting funny about them and things like that. But I think it's normal, and I also think it's somewhat healthy to. Here's why I think it's healthy.
Because you'll explode.
Number one, you'll explode. But two, let's even think about it. There is a whole profession that's geared to venting, and that's being a therapist.
What is that?
Like
therapy.
Yeah. People go to therapy to help them
Shout
navigate.
out to all our therapists.
Love y'all.
Y'all are heroes.
Yes,
y'all are
like
the Avengers.
it helps people. Like when you go to therapy, like obviously it shouldn't just be a pile-on session. Your therapist should also help you like navigate things, give you feedback, give you homework, give you things to do or whatever. But ultimately you're going to them with a problem, and you're like from point A, and you should be from point A to point B and point Z, telling them like what's going on, so that they can actually give you effective feedback and effective things to help you move forward. But there is literally a profession that's dedicated to people just talking about their problems, their business. And usually it's not just an island. Like if I've been to therapy, I've done therapy.
Yeah.
I've never just done therapy and said, hey, this is just me. This is Dania. That's it. Like, no, it's like, hey, this is my situation. I've had a situation. Now I'm just saying certain things. But like I've with my mom, with my dad, with my brother, whatever. Like it's not me just talking about me. Like, hey, I have a podcast and it's going awesome. Like if you're going to therapy and you're only doing that, you're not getting anything out of therapy. You know what I mean? Like you have to get down to like the nitty gritty. So venting to a friend, talking to a friend about other friends is not necessarily a bad thing. It's your actions behind it. Like what you do after that point. Like, do you then talk to your friend about it? Do you throw away the situation and let it go completely? Or are you holding on to
and
like
chop
you're
it
not
up to like your friend having a bad day,
right?
Because everybody can have a bad day.
Everybody can have a bad day.
You made a point where you made a good point where you said, where you suggested we look at it as venting is a form of therapy. So venting can be therapeutic. So if it's therapeutic, you're not a bad person. You're just naturally doing some therapy, some self-therapy or some therapy with a peer of yours. But yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up. This is actually a segue into what we're going to talk about next episode, because this was about, kind of just thinking inwardly and acknowledging that maybe if you do vent, it's okay, because people don't think about, do I be venting about my friends like that? And that it's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's normal. A lot of people do it, don't feel guilty. But that's like an inward thing amongst your other friends or your other members who are your support group. But you can also vent outwardly. And so next episode, I want us to delve into that, and I have some examples for us to like piggyback off of. But outward gets a little bit more interesting, and we'll talk about that with y'all friends next week. But in the meantime, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please drop down in the comments on our YouTube channel what you think about venting. Is it therapeutic? Is it hurtful?
Is it wrong?
Or a little bit of both. Also, you can find us on Instagram at Honestly Friends Pod. And we will see y'all next week.
Later, friends.